welcome, everybody. It's Crypto Adrian speaking, and welcome to day 12 of our 14-day free trading congress. Everybody, this is huge day, huge names. A lot of legends are popping in on our shows, and this show couldn't be different because we've got somebody who I respect very badly and very mildly over the past years of his performance, over the past months of what he's been doing about his trading career, about his businesses. Basically, legend Cryptokaleo is going to join us on the show of our 14-day free trading congress. Everybody, if you are ready to hear he talk about trading, options, Bitcoin forecasts, markets, Wonky Stonks, and NFTs, you make sure, guys, you get ready. We are going there right in a moment. Now that is getting exciting. Cryptokaleo. Kaleo, which means to call in Greek. Does it mean to call in Greek? Kaleo, my friend.
I mean, something like that. Like it actually means more along the lines of like to bring alongside. And I just kind of like to call alongside with you, which I really liked that aspect.
I love it. We love calls. We love calls more than we love puts, perhaps at times, just like in crypto when it goes up. Everybody, this is legend here with us. Cryptokaleo. This is something really amazing. I've been admiring, Kaleo's works ever since Jesus. I think it was like 20,000 followers.
No, Birb. You followed me. You were one of the few that followed me back like when I was under 10K.
I cannot recall that even, man.
No, yeah, you 100%. Yeah, no, you followed me like when I had less than 10,000 followers for a while before I kind of ended up breaking out past that. But I'm pretty sure you followed me for like over a year where I was stuck in the 6,000, 8,000 follower range. So it's been a long time, man, because you were right in that 50 to 55 area for an eternity also. And I was stuck in the 6 to 8K area for eternity also. So kind of crazy, man.
It is. It's been a wild ride. We are talking about 445,000 over that followers right now on Twitter. This is some big numbers, everybody. Listen, I think we perhaps may want to hear a little bit of story, a little bit about Calio, if he's kind enough to perhaps share some stuff about him, his history, how he started his of the trading career. How has it been? What's the deal with you, man? What's up?
Yeah, man. Well, so you know what? How I think I became such a degenerate, first I'll say, is RuneScape. Back in the day, I used to play it, and I would spend a lot of time in the duel arena and that type of stuff, and like fighting in the wilderness, basically degenerate type things rather than productive things. But I found them fun and gave me a tolerance for risk. And here I was years later, and I had a guy that worked at the same company that I did, and he did a lot with consensus. So he gave a lunch and learn about Ethereum, a little bit of Bitcoin, and this was early 2017. I was immediately enamored and, didn't know anything about trading to begin with. But, my background, I did a lot of looking at charts and, studying trends, not price action stuff, right? But like, that same type of idea carried over. It translated pretty well to trading. So when I found out about the actual trading side of it and all the shit coins and everything else, man, I went down the rabbit hole and I never looked back. So here we are, I guess it's coming up on, dude, that's wild. It's coming up on 5 years since I really got plugged into all this. So yeah, I didn't make my crypto Twitter account until I lurked in the shadows on my main account for like, most of 2017. And it wasn't until September that I decided to actually make anything and really get plugged into the game. So, yeah, anyway, man, like I could go through a lot more, but that's kind of the background, what got me into it. And then from there, I think the rest is just history, man. Once you take the red pill, you like the crypto red pill, you never look back.
Crypto Red Pill, I love it, especially with the Matrix Resurrections 4 coming up, I think, in a month from now. Are you a fan of Matrix?
What metrics? I know.
Matrix, not
Oh, the
Matrix. I'm talking
Matrix.
about the.
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. I thought you said metrics. I'm like, no.
No.
Yeah, no. Like, I'm a fan of the Matrix.
Okay.
So
Yeah, there's a new movie
kind of
coming
feels
up,
like we
right? In a
live in it
month.
at times.
Oh yeah, yeah, it does. We live in a simulation. At times, my cousin, my cousin always, tends to say that whenever something funny happens, and when we get along, like for parties or something, it always like there's always something funny happening. So, so he always goes like life is a meme, right? Life is a meme,
Hmm.
and basically, and basically, it may feel like you're living in this fucking simulation. It's pretty strange, pretty uh, glitch in the matrix at times. But you were saying your trading career actually started off like as a very innocent, just staring at charts for other profession, right?
Yeah, so that that's before I traded at all. I looked at like a bunch of pressure trend analysis and stuff like that, and pressure rate trends, and I was an engineer previously, so it carried over I think pretty well whenever you actually look at um, price trends and you're looking for the same type of idiosyncrasies for how like what makes this thing tick, like what exactly so trying to predict what comes next I think is always fun. And a lot of people call TA like black magic. It's something that doesn't work. It's just washed out. And I think to a certain degree they're not wrong, but I think there is it's all about finding what works well for you, and then going with it. That's why I'll never, like, as long as somebody's profitable, I'll never judge somebody else's TA. I'll never say, hey, like, you're doing this wrong, because, hey, if it works for you, if it works for them and they're making money with it, great. Like, that's all that matters.
Exactly.
So yeah, at the end of the day, I am not, I like my style for TA is really raw. There are a lot of people that critique it a lot because I don't use a lot of the higher level indicators. Um, but it works for me, right? I'm able to profit with it. And I think that is the important thing, right? Like, I know how to use that, how to leverage it. And I think that's the important thing for anybody listening here is there is no one right way when it comes
Mm.
to technical analysis either.
Yeah. Listen, I think I was talking to Rookie the other day over in Dubai, and he was basically explaining to me, how he made so much money about like thanks to his actual intuition, something that he called intuition.
Yes.
And to be honest, like just like you said, listen, dude, whatever works for you, you can even, I don't know, throw your fucking like shoe out of the window and watch where it flows,
Yeah.
watch where it lands, right? And based on that, make trading decisions. I even remember not Peter Schiff, Peter Brand the other day. I think he was posting something of the futures, that there was a new futures market coming up on the more agricultural kind of like just side of the things, where the cattle cows
Hmm.
were basically fed with different sort of like types of grass and everything, and the traders based on futures were betting to which hole in the ground the cow is going to take shit into, right?
I believe it.
This is
I mean,
wild.
it's part of human nature, right? Like, part of human nature, that gaming aspect, right? And that's why I think, especially with COVID, when things were down and people didn't have sports as an avenue to be able to get their fill, their fix for, that
Mm.
type of, because at the end of the day, man, especially if you don't have a method that you're carrying this out with, I mean, it is a form of gambling, right? And it when people didn't have that fix, like what did you see become extremely popular? It was trading, right? Whether it was equities, crypto, whatever else, people gamified the market in that sense.
Mm. People like to compete. People love to compete. Listen, before we actually go straight to the topic of the competing of trading of options and whatnot, I just want to say how much I respect you personally. We have never met before, like in person. I wish that happened. I hope it happens anytime soon. But I just want to say how much I admire, first of all, of course, your works, your accuracy, your amazing trading skills for options, for other markets, for crypto. Um, on top of it, generally and genuinely believe you're a great guy. You're a great human being. I saw so many kind of like these threads of yours, the tweets of yours, where you were so openly talking about religion, about Jesus, about Christianity, how it actually helps you and shapes your path, as a person, as a human being. You were just telling a story about the pastor as well, right? This is something that not many people openly talk about. I also try to convey some message at times, which is something like why I can relate and then feel and associate with what you're doing at the same time. But it feels to me at times that we are, lonely in the space, right? And this is not going to be, of course, like a religious, or religion focused, broadcast. But I just want to ask you very quick, like, if if this is something that you feel people need to hear, you feel people need to hear it.
Well, it's a combination of a couple of things, Bird. First off, it is completely central to, my life. It's my relationship with the Lord is like what I live for, right? Like I don't live for myself, my own glory. Like I live to glorify God. And I think it's
Beautiful.
important to recognize, whether you believe in something more like that or not, it's really important to be confident in who you are, what you believe, and what drives you. Especially, if you're coming into this game as a trader where you are trying to capitalize on a market, you're going to have volatility and ups and downs. I think it's really important, at least for me, that I know where where my hope is, and it's not my performance for trading, right? Like I know, like Romans 8:28 says, and we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, those who have been called according to his purpose. I'm confident that what I have, whether I have a ton or whether I have nothing, that I'm secure in my relationship with the Lord. And that's what's important for me. And what really gives me a greater motivation beyond like my success for the numbers on the screen is, right, like there's a bigger mission that I'm trying to fulfill, that I'm here for on this earth. And I find confidence in that. And my exhortation for everybody, whether it is a relationship with the Lord or whatever, is like find out what drives you, what motivates you, what gives you that confidence, that extra hope. And if that is not something that is your priority while you are trading, if trading or crypto or anything else shifts the focus of that, you're not in it for the right reason. You're not going to be successful, first and foremost with your performance, but secondly in your life. You're probably falling apart in other areas too. You need to take a step back and refocus. So yeah, man, I appreciate you bringing that up, and I'm always happy to talk through it.
I love it. I love it. I mean, this is very impressive. I don't know if you feel the same way. Again, I feel some sort of like a level of responsibility at times. At times, of course, I fail at completing and fulfilling that well because of my human kind of like roller coasters. Everybody has their ups and downs. Although I don't show it, of course, there are of course just a lot of people who really irritate me in this space. Like I've noticed as a person, I tend to get irritated too often and too fast. Something that I need to work on. But I know I have the responsibility, and I try to somehow fulfill it with this audience that I've built. Do you feel the same way about your beautiful community?
Yeah, it. Trust me, man. Like I go through this struggle every day, whether it is the numbers on the screen or whether it is, the audience. Like, my girlfriend was even asking me the other day, like, what is enough?
Mm,
And she was like, if X amount of million isn't enough, like what is enough? Like what difference materialistically will you have in your life if you have $100 million versus 10 million versus a million? Right? Like, why do you need to strive for that? And I really had to sit there and, like search for an answer with it that was for her. And I think like, I don't know, man. My response felt a little bit too prideful at the end of the day. It was like, well, I think that I have the potential for greatness, and this is a gift I was given. And, there are ways I can utilize and leverage it. But man, like it really can, if you're not careful, get to your head pretty easily. So, staying humble, and I think spending time with the guys in the Ledge Art Wonky Stonks Discord, where, the majority of people have like 20 followers. I vibe with those guys all the time. I love them. I think just ways of sharing your weaknesses and your vulnerabilities are ways to keep yourself humble. That's important for all of us to do, not only to be real to your audience, but to be real to yourself.
I love it. Yeah, I couldn't have worded that myself better. there's of course so much to discuss in this topic. Beautiful. Listen, I think regarding your trading career, I saw you post options. I saw you choose options way more often than regular traders in crypto do. Why is that? Why options?
Man, it all goes back to being a complete degenerate. I don't trade crypto options because there really aren't many super liquid, easily accessible avenues for that. But I think that, there are some opportunities in the market as far as where I see the momentum, of everything headed. And granted, like I know the past couple days, especially in tech, even more so than crypto, we've seen a lot of red. There was a rejection after the Jerome Powell announcement, surprisingly, where it came back down. But I think that we're on the verge, the precipice, you could say, of a tech bubble where we are going to see movements and percentage increases that we have not seen, I guess, since last summer, but, going back further than that, 2 decades before the previous tech bubble of late 99, early 2000. And I think with that, having the vision, it all goes back to having vision and having conviction behind that vision. There are going to be, I think that the IV that's baked into all of these options right now is really low. So the premiums thus are very low. So if we start to get the vertical type of movement that I'm talking about, I don't even have to hit the targets for what I'm talking about for some of these dates that I have for the out of the money strike prices. I just have to have that IV spike, the initial IV spike of the, a couple big momentum impulse moves where once that happens, I'll make multiples on what the initial premium I paid for are, get out of, half the position there, carry the half as like a moon bag. And if I'm right, as far as my long-term thesis after that, for the duration and the overall size of the move, then man, I'm going to make just a ridiculous return on these that I would not be able to make with just buying the underlying shares. Now, there's a lot of risk that comes along with that too, where, in a sense, it's similar to leverage trading, where I think a lot more of the crypto folks are familiar with leverage trading, where you can up your leverage by X amount, but you have to have the difference with leverage trading is, if you have a quick, 1 day wick down, say that you're on a 20x long and you've got a 5% wick down, you just got liquidated, or you stop yourself out and you took a huge loss. If you have that 5% wick down on an option, right, you're not getting penalized for that except for an immediate IV crush where, you're losing some of that premium. But if your price target still hits before the expiration date, you're capitalizing on that, right? You didn't get liquidated. You still have your position. So that's what I really like about options versus leverage.
I love it. I love it. There's been of course, a lot of reading that I did about the options. I nowhere near feel good enough to trade them actively, but that's also one of my plans to actually improve myself and boost my skills over the next year whenever the bear market starts on the crypto side. I'm planning to have about and dedicate about 10 options to the derivatives, to futures, but mainly options, especially for commodity options. Again, this is kind of like a very different word, very different nature of the playing, right? This is not really not even specifically about it's just about the volatility. It's very different. It's very different than many people would expect it to be similar to crypto, but it's not similar. It's far from similar. There are certain models like that you can use. There is a Schultz model, right? There is like you can apply certain assumptions to assume the market is more or less efficient, and make certain like assumptions forecasts also regarding the implied volatility. It's it's a lot. It's a lot to digest for non-options traders. I highly recommend that if you are fan of learning, if you're fans of learning, everybody, this is actually a good topic to perhaps digest. It's very risky. It's very risky, but if you can play like Calio, you make a bank. You make a bank. And before we jump to another question about options, I want to remind to everybody, because there are new people joining up on the stream live. We are broadcasting our 14-day free trading congress for traders, free of any charge, with the legendary Cryptokaleo right now. And we're discussing stocks, options, crypto, and Wonky Stonks as well, very briefly in a moment as well. And I want to remind to everybody that if you've just joined, make sure you actually smash the likes, hit the subscribe button, turn the notifications bells on as well, because we have so many streams coming up that you have to be ready for whenever it comes, and you never know when it comes. I'm joking, you know when it comes, but because you have a clean lineup and you have a clean agenda, but it's very worth subscribing to this channel. I kindly recommend you do that. And there's also going to be a giveaway coming up later on the show. Not yet, but expect a secret coupon, secret discount code played in the display in the screen, which you're going to be able to utilize and stand a chance to win rewards. And moving on, I want to ask as well, perhaps very quick before we move to the Wonky Stonks side. Do you play options mainly on stocks? Or do you play options on or commodities? What do you favor?
Just stocks. So yeah, no, I and like I said, if there was a better, more liquid way of doing it with crypto, I would love to do it with crypto, but there just really aren't any great vehicles I've identified for that right now. I mean, there are some decent options, I guess, Deribit, et cetera, but I'm just not really a huge fan of anything that's out there. So I'm comfortable doing that with stocks. And yeah, so.
Okay. Do you have any specific options trades right now open for stocks?
So let's see.
Would you like me to play
I
the
do,
screen?
man. I've got, yeah, sure, go for it. I can type in a few. I've got some AMC calls where,
Obviously.
let's go to this. I think AMC, it's kind of crazy looking at the longer term. You zoom out, it almost seems like it's too perfect, right? Where it's like there's this flag that has just been accumulating on this high time frame support right there. And it looks really similar to that breakout that we saw right there. So as far as the fundamentals of everything here, yeah, man, like it's tough to sit there and fundamentally say AMC deserves to go higher. But just from pure, technical perspective, I still think, I mean, this is a little bit more weakness than I'd like to see right here as far as short term, but I still wouldn't be surprised, say that this does break down a quick little down, then bounce back up. I think this flag breaks higher in the type of market that we're in right now, where, there are a lot of fundamental factors as far as inflation, the money printer keeps going, and,
stocks only go up.
Yeah, my general thesis that we are still going to see a blow off, tech bubble 2.0 type top with the stock or with the tech market as well. And I think, it'll ride along with all of that.
When do you expect that?
So, dude, I'll just show quickly, my quick thesis with all of that. So I think we're basically entering into it right now. So you look here at what happened with that run up from, in the 90s, right? And all the way up until 98, then 99, you had a break above the channel where a new upper channel formed, right? Same type of thing here, where that decade, and you even had a capitulation wick here that led you out of it. So we had the same type of thing that broke us above that, formed a new channel, and it looks like we are starting to break out of that channel right there, right? We're right at the peak. And that was, when we broke out of this one over here, it was actually November of 99. So, ironically enough, coincidentally enough, I should say, it's November right now here. We're breaking above it. So I think we're just going to get an extreme, through March-ish, through early spring, same type of thing that we saw there, where it's just an insane type of gain. We had an 80% gain there. I'm not saying we'll see a pure 80% here, but I wouldn't be surprised with another 50% gain in the market the next 6 months. But, a couple years later, I think there are enough factors baked into where we could end up lower. So I am just gamifying the heck out of what I think this impulse move is going to be. And, if I'm wrong and we reject back down, I'm wrong. I lose money, and like it is what it is. I figure out the next way to, but like that's what I'm playing right now. And I honestly think that during this period, crypto is going to outpace. So Bitcoin, I can go quickly to the Bitcoin chart here. I actually think we're nearing, a bottom right here. I think that it may be in. We've seen a lot of bottoms similar to this where it looks like there's a breakdown in a structure, right here, right beneath it. You see right there. There are a lot of like these type of bottoms that we've seen. So I think that it is going to do that, run it back. And if you look at, BLX, the long-term outlook for all this, for Bitcoin in general. And I'm sorry if I'm just running around in circles.
No, do it.
I just don't think this does not look like a top to me. You look at a bunch of these different types of cycles. When it breaks after each halving, I should have it typed out on here. After each halving, you see from the previous all-time high there, 3,600, 1,500. I think that we're going to see somewhere around 800. So each one of these are halving each time for the percentage increase from the top, which also makes sense from the halving that you have with the supply introduction with. So I think that, somewhere around that 215K range sounds reasonable. Personally, though, I'm going to start taking a ton off the table around 150K because that last little bit just doesn't matter to me. I'm not trying to be perfect in this market. I'm just trying to be, get enough out of it. And I'm okay past that. Let it run to 300. I'll have made enough that I'm happy, but I am not going to hold on to it all the way to the top, then all the way back down. But yeah, that's the game plan right now. Okay,
so you're saying we don't need to worry about Bitcoin?
No, not at all, man. Bitcoin is still going to have a blow-off type top. I bet it peaks before, if the general market's going to peak around March, Bitcoin maybe around February. Who knows? Early February or so where it peaks off. We could triple by February, man. We could quadruple by February, and I would not be shocked. I'd be more surprised if we are not at 150K by February than if we are.
Yeah. Same thoughts. Listen, I mean, this is pretty wild. And while we are at Bitcoin, many people, I assume, they are stressing out. Like, I don't know, like, bro, if you actually got the same kind of like vibe, but over the past 2-3 days, any single chart I posted that was supposed to be bullish, people were literally like raging at me for it.
Oh yeah,
they were literally. I'm talking about another level of rage. I had never seen anything like that. It seems like some sort of like materialized hatred somehow arrived under whatever tweet I made. It didn't even have to regard trading at all, and people were still coming to me, saying that my predictions were bullshit or something. And I was actually just, not even making fun, but just making people aware of it yesterday on one of the shows when I tell you what, when I put out a tweet once, right, that I expected Bitcoin to go up $200,000 within the matter of then following couple of like few months, right? Then, or should I say few weeks? Then 2 days ago, I posted the same almost the same tweet, saying that I still believe in Bitcoin reaching $100,000 within the next few months or 2-3 months. So few weeks versus 2-3 months, and people were like, they went literally dumb and numb mad on that, 100% numb. Like telling me, oh, so now you're switching your bias, so not a few weeks anymore, it's 2-3 months. What are we going to do? The market was supposed to go up, like we're fucking broke. Man, I mean, I was literally like shaking my head like right there. Do you have same sentiment on your end?
Oh yeah, there's similar sentiment, Birb. And the sad thing is, I think it's just a reflection of how over leveraged the majority of people that are here are, because there's so many people that, I think get in this game because they believe in the macro thesis of the higher time frame price targets, but then they trade counter to their higher time frame bias to try to scalp a few extra percentage points here and there. And in the process, they chop themselves to bits. So that's why, especially in a market that you are bullish on the underlying asset and that you believe that we are in a bull market, you just buy and hold, and you are going to outperform your other trading rotation bias 9 out of 10 times, right? And that's what I encourage people to do. So anybody that has pain at 56K, dude, look at how much of the percentage of the time that Bitcoin has been in existence, we've been at 56K. Nobody should be angry right now. Nobody should be upset, but people are. And I think that it is because people have over leveraged themselves. And I have been guilty of this in the past also, right? Where you feel FOMO at the top and you are hoping against all other hope that the price goes down so you have a chance to refill at those levels that you initially filled at, so that by the time it does reach your high time frame target, you have the bag that you wanted to have. But you got too greedy and you traded against your bias and you wrecked yourself in the process. So now anybody that says anything about how the price is going to go higher, whatever, like they hate on it because they hate on themselves. But like they're not going to say that. It's a lot easier to just go and shit on somebody else's post. So that's what I think you see, and it's a byproduct of that. And it's kind of sad, but it's a nature, I think, of the game that we're in.
It is. I mean, it's just as I say, it's not even that I care too much about all the negativity. Of course, when you're successful, there is a lot of like negativity, people being envious about doing, because they could do some similar stuff, but they would never eventually do it because they're too fucking lazy for it. It's always the laziness that stops them from actually fulfilling that. But at times it just literally floods, like comes up with an irritating flood. And this irritation at times, some sort of like, gets to me, and it's not even anger. It's not even stress. I don't feel bad about that, but I just feel the irritation. It just kind of like gets on my nerves. That's it. Right. But happily enough, again, you proceed with your mission, with your vision, with your fulfillment goals and plans. And you realize that after some time, it's actually the dedication, the passion, and the consequence that takes you places. And speaking of it, look what I found, right? So I have something like that. Talk to me about that. What is that?
Love it.
What is that?
Okay, let's go through it, man. That is a Wonky Stonk. And I appreciate you you showing that, man. So that is the gift that I sent you, just for giving me some feedback there in the early days. Whenever, like, first and foremost, the story behind this, right? Behind Ledge Art, behind Wonky Stonks. Had a good friend that, I was talking about, one of the smartest, best guys that I know, like would literally give you the shirt off his back, if it was the last shirt that he owned. No. Like he's one of those type of guys, right? And just super, super smart. And I was talking to him about an idea how I really wanted to, build a community and have it be more intentional. I wasn't looking to do any other type of, the responsibilities that come along with a paid group, right? Like I wanted something that was real, authentic, and different. So he brought up the idea. This is actually his idea initially for the Wonky Stonk stuff. And then together we ended up building it and got feedback from people like yourselves, and spent a lot of time where I even created alt accounts and, had like 10 followers on my alt account, and would go to, there's a space. I'll give a shout out to the DGen Daily crew. They had like 10 people that would be in their NFT space, and I would hop in and I just get their feedback raw and live too. Like, hey, what exactly, would you guys as the end user, as the people that I want to be part of this community, look for with a launch? So a few things that I did not do any preferential treatment to any other type of influencers or anything like that ahead of time, which I easily could have done. And, Birb, you can attest, like I got feedback, but I didn't give any heads up to anybody about, hey, here's when the launch date is. Didn't give any, any other type of incentive for anybody else to do it, any unfair advantages. And one day, man, just out of nowhere, it was while Bitcoin was making the all-time high, actually, for that point, went ahead and launched it, and nobody had the heads up. And it was a first mint free type of thing, because I wanted people to have a low barrier of entry to the community, and really under promise and over deliver as far as expectations were concerned past then. So it's just been a beautiful thing seeing how the community's grown out of that. And, looking at this too, man, I love looking at these charts And I love being able to just go through. And I think like each chart that I look at evokes emotion, because if we're talking about
It
my
shares
history
the
and my
story.
background as a trader, like they all have a story. And I think they're all very relatable as far as, what that looks like, and it's something completely different, right? Like it's not a PFP project, where I think PFP projects are a dime a dozen, and it can be used. There are a lot of people that have used it as a mashup for PFP projects, where they'll combine that as their background for it. I think it's a really, really cool look, and it's something that I didn't even picture going into it, but people have done, and they've done things like that Wonky Stonks cube that you see right there. A lot of people, you see that PFP matchup with the Hulk. So people have done a bunch of these type of mashups, and it's just really cool to see the time that people have put into these, and they're really kind of badass.
They look good. They look good.
Yeah. So, a lot of people have done that, and it's just been fun to watch how the community's grown along those type of lines. And I'm really excited, because ideally what the plan is for ledge art long term. Actually, I'll stop to see if you have any other questions just about the wonkies, man.
Yeah. Yeah, basically, there is going to be supposedly like a very short Q&A session like before the show ends. So I assume there's some questions, guys. If you have some questions about Wonky Stonks, or any other sort of like questions that you may ask Calio, if Calio is fine with that, we would get about 5 minutes to answer briefly some of them. So make sure you put the comments. Make sure you also smash the likes by the occasion, and hit the subscribe button if you're on YouTube. And by the way, there is a special giveaway, just like I promised. For a moment, there was a special giveaway code, a secret code going on in the screen. It's popping up right now as well. The secret code is Wonky, and we have a special giveaway going on. Okay, and by the giveaway, you can actually just again go ahead and click in the video description. There is a link to the giveaway, and you're going to be able to win special rewards, basically. Okay, and by the proper rewards, I mean basically 1 month of the Burbicator Pro, for an example, 1 month of B Pro, or our indicator, which is basically of high value. You're going to get it for free. High chances if you actually just again go ahead and participate in the giveaway. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. Literally, go ahead, and at the same time, this wonky code needs to be put in the giveaway.
Birb, can I give away a wonky stonk too? Can I send
Do
you one to
it,
give
do it,
away?
do it,
Okay,
do it. Let's
cool.
do it, man. Let's
I'll,
do the giveaway of a wonky.
Yeah, you can include that, or however you want to do it. Just let me know, who the winner is, what the ETH address is. Like I can send it over to them.
Okay, let's make that happen. Yeah, you heard him, everybody. You heard Calio talk. Let's do this. I'm like a wonky stock giveaway. I'm down all the way for it. I think community and all the viewers and the listeners would actually appreciate it as well. So by the occasion, if you guys want to actually just join on the giveaway for the Wonky Stonk, you're going to also stand the chance. We are going to put the link to the video description, I assume, again. So you're going to find there. So you're going to have to go to the YouTube and find it in the video description for both giveaways. Very, very, very good shot. Yeah, and speaking of the Wonky Stonks again, how come did the idea arrive on your end? Like, how did it get born, basically?
Yeah, so basically, like I said, it came back to, my buddy brought up, like originally I wanted, my initial idea was something a little bit more abstract as far as what to do. And then he came to me with this fire, with this fire idea where it was just these generative charts, and I saw it and immediately loved it. And then from there was a lot of work kind of refining the product itself. But my vision with it, though, at that point, I was like, man, this is the perfect opportunity to build a community of people that, my followership follows me for the trading side of things, right? Like I'm not the NFT type of guy by background. That wasn't who I am. So I wanted people to have something that would connect with me, that was authentic to my followership and my community already, and kind of merge the two worlds of the NFT community and the trading community. I feel like we've really done that so far. I think
I love it.
probably half the people that have a Wonky stock, man, like never owned an NFT prior to this. So there are a lot of new people who have been red pilled to the NFT side of things just to begin with, that were never part of it before. And there are a lot of people that, were part of it. And they're like, man, they see something different with this community where it's just positivity every single day, every single minute of every day inside the Discord, where they're like, the roadmap is we vibe and then we vibe harder. And like, that is the honest truth of this, where the whole intent is that, man, we just want to build something positive and something different. And it started from the way that we did the free mint to the way that I didn't overhype or oversell with the influencers or anything else ahead of time. I wanted it to be an experience that was unique to this community, to where, you build with a low barrier of entry and it makes it easier to steadily climb. Like the NFT world has been, like it's lacked liquidity for the last month and a half. And, we've still gone from a free mint to where the average sales price over the last 30 days has been 0.19 ETH. And we've been ranging around that. And I fully expect, man, we're going to have this period where it's quiet and where there's not as much liquidity. But like I expect in Bitcoin and Ethereum and the tech market, we're going to have another bubble in the NFT market that's going to make August look like a blip, right? Like it's not going to be where things are just going to go ridiculous. And it'll probably be early spring at this point, where it just goes absolutely insane. And I think that we're going to be right there in the mix as far as, performance, just because of the fact that I'm so confident in our community and where we are, that it's contagious, man. People want to be a part of that. And
I love it.
Ledge art as a whole, like my dream and my vision behind it is I want to explore the entire NFT space, because I am so bullish with NFTs. And I want us to be, not siloed into one type of project, like a generative art project. Ideally, the dream is to turn it into some type of NFT platform where, we can help curate and give a voice to other artists that maybe haven't had that opportunity. Ranging from, heck, I mean, I'm not even opposed to something like looking into a photographer, looking into voice type stuff. There are a lot of different things that I think that we can look into, but I'm not rushing into anything either, right? My main focus right now is building this community, making sure it's solid. And in the meantime, I am doing things like traveling, went to NFT NYC. I'm going to Art Basel this next week. I want to make those connections and find people that I think fit the ideals of our community and that would fit in with it. And then look for projects in that sense to be able to build on from there. Wonky Stonks is the foundation project for the community. And my whole thing is I don't want to be like these other people that feel like they have to release something every single minute of every single day to be able to, make it. Heck, if I waited a year to do something, if that's the right timing, like that's what I'm going to do. But, I think being patient and focusing on quality over quantity is my mission with this. And I think that just showing up every single day and having the right intent and the right focus and the vision with that, like good things usually follow.
Yeah. I tell you what, I mean, I've basically kind of like, decided to ask you almost the same question twice, because like for the origins, for how it started, because people love histories. Like people can only connect truly and build the bond and build the real connection with you or with your project when there is a real story behind it. People believe in it, and people can really associate when it actually brings some sort of like a sentiment value with what they can relate, basically. And like now hearing the story, hearing this actual I should say proper mission and vision, and for your plan for fulfilling it with Wonky Stonks, with Ledger, I think this is pretty neat. Congratulations on that so far, man. I mean, this is a pretty sick job. Well done.
Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, this is very honest. Guys, I think we have let me look. We have about 10 minutes before we have to wrap the show up. So why don't we take a very quick Q&A part? Are you okay with Q&A?
Whatever y'all want. I'm down for it.
Beautiful. Let me then get you a couple of questions perhaps displayed, and see what happens. So there's one from Loijan. Didn't the Wall Street Bets founder buy a Wonky Stonk?
Yes, he did, and it was really random too because I had never talked to the guy whatsoever either. He stumbled across it on his own, and he was a fan of the art itself and a fan of the vision, and that was all not me. And he shouted it out, which was really cool to see. So, he did enter the community a couple weeks back, and it was really cool. Whenever he stepped into the Discord that day, he ended up giving somebody that was in the Discord didn't have enough ETH to buy their first Wonky, and he sent them enough ETH to be able to do it. And it was just somebody random in the Discord. They became a verified member after that, and ended up, and they've been vibing ever since. So it was actually really surprising and cool to see him jump in as well.
Pretty wild. I mean, huge stuff. There is there are, of course, beautiful, loads of comments which are very kind, and I think we both appreciate it. That is pretty amazing. Let me actually, I'm just switching, I'm just scrolling for the questions about the Wonky Stonks, but I can see there is also a lot of questions about the market. Are you fine answering one or two questions about the markets, perhaps?
Yeah, whatever you got, man.
Okay. Okay, so there is a question. Okay, let's get you that. I mean, it's tiny bit generic, but let's get you that. What would you recommend to someone? I'm super curious about it. What would you recommend to someone who was liquidated hard in February to make up for their losses now? Options, spot trading, IDOs, etc.
Well, and I'd love you to chime in on this too, Birb. My personal recommendation would be you're thinking about it all wrong to begin with. And where you're thinking about it wrong is to say to make up for their losses now. So if you have that mindset that what you are doing, you have to make up for something that you did back then, you are inherently going to over risk yourself and probably end up in the same situation all over again. So my recommendation would be just treat it like you're starting from scratch, and find a better way, because obviously what you did the first time around, you put yourself in a situation where you got liquidated and where that hurt and you reset yourself. But guess what? If you're trying to make up for that loss, you're probably going to do the same thing again, just from the aspect of having that FOMO. So you're going to have one of these days and you're going to over leverage yourself, overthink it, and chop yourself up to shreds until you have nothing. My thing is just, be patient with spot. Don't even, honestly, if that's where you were, maybe have a small bag, small percentage of your portfolio that you dedicate toward a day trading type of strategy. But for now, start with just holding some safer bags and just letting the market momentum carry up and take profit when it comes, because I think that the market as a whole is going to go higher. So just be patient with that. Don't risk your entire bag again. Have a small bag maybe that you're okay. If you are doing that leverage type trading, you're still getting used to it. Maybe dedicate literally 1% of your portfolio to that. And if you are able to perform really well with that and it grows into a larger percentage, great. Maybe take a little bit off the table and continue to grow it, practice healthy discipline with it. But don't have the mentality that you have to make up for it, because I think the best way to make up for it is just slow and steady growth versus going back to the same old habits.
Yeah. Listen, I agree 100%. I mean, what you said is definitely what I'm pretty sure describes about 90% of the people or 80% of the people who actually, are trying to compensate for the losses. This is basically like the snowball effect, where the deeper you go, the harder it gets for you to actually think rationally. And basically, I think it was Warren Buffett that said it the other day, that the best investment you can make is an investment in yourself, because the more you learn, the more you will earn. And that is something that I strongly believe is true. So my personal kind of advice, suggestion, tip would be to invest in yourself, invest in your education, invest in a good book, right? So I'm for an example on the costly way of and the costly path of the CMT, right? Charter market technician. I'm getting my full designation as the charter market technician in about a month from now, hopefully. Getting my final exam on December 9th. But that said, it's an expensive journey. Every single exam costs a couple of hundreds of dollars. Every single book costs a couple of hundreds of dollars. But guess what? I'm not really greedy about the money or try to save it when it comes to the knowledge that I'm building, because I know this knowledge leveraged is going to bring so much more multiples, so many more multiples in everywhere I go, right? Especially in the financial markets. Invest in knowledge, invest in good books, everybody, before you invest in the same mistakes. Let's get perhaps very quick one last question to you. One or two, if there's a very, very quick. Calio, where did you learn TA?
I mean, a combination. Like I said, I am not nearly as well versed in proper TA like Birb is. My TA is basically what I've done that has worked for me, identifying trends. A lot of that came from looking what other people did in Twitter initially, from doing a little, YouTube, from sources like Birb, studying stuff like that. But I kind of just, learned via trial and error for what worked for me. And I think there are better ways of doing that. Birb is probably the one that's better to ask as far as sources for TA.
You're too kind. You're too kind. You're too kind, man. Yeah, but I've seen it again. Intuition. Next to TA, you have to have this intuition, and I see many people have the intuition without the TA, and they make it a lot of money. Some people have only TA and have no intuition, and they never make it, right? So it's an actual combination, but without the proper intuition, which you actually can learn as a skill over your experience as the chartist, as an analyst, as a trader. Without this intuition, you're not really going to make it. It's not only charts that make you rich, right? It's not only charts or the knowledge that it will make you rich, but the way that you actually implement that. And I basically, like, for example, respect you for intuition. You say your charts are simple, but who the fuck cares if they complete like with astonishing accuracy one after another? Like I was seeing those layouts, those forecasts that you were doing, on your charts. And those were literally like printing future. I don't know how you did it, but they work like amazingly. Congratulations. That's the intuition.
Yeah, exactly. A lot of it goes back to just that intuition, I think, too. Studying trends and, finding certain things that work for me enough of the time that I can be profitable.
Yeah. Last question, though. Very quick. Litecoin. What do you think about Litecoin?
Bro, I talked about this on the stream yesterday. First off, I think Litecoin was designed specifically to steal all my money. So I think that I am not going to touch Litecoin again until it hits $400. And once it's retesting that all-time high, it kind of looks like it could form a good cup and handle and maybe break out. But anywhere in the range to 400, that whole thing, I'm not even going to touch it. So I'm going to wait until it hits right where it was at the previous all-time high, probably breaking that before I consider a re-entry again. Until then, like, it's taken enough of my money.
Yeah. Okay, I got you. I got you covered, buddy. I bought Litecoin for you as well. So I'm good with my position. Yeah, basically I think again, Litecoin is you get Litecoin vibes the same way that I get the Ripple vibes. I never buy Ripple. Like I got a couple of bad trades like in the past, but it's just, I like, why would I force myself to trade something that I don't like, right? You have to. That's the point. You make money on something that you have good intuition towards, something that you really know well, something that kind of like you feel inside out, right? And that is something that you build over the time. I didn't like too much Ripple, and I respect you don't necessarily love Litecoin the same way. Listen, I think everybody, we are nearing the end of the session. I think it's actually about the time to remind about the giveaway. You're going to have the final giveaway link with the secret code Wonky for the giveaway, and both giveaways, our B Pro 1 month of this of B Pro subscription and Wonky Stonk from Legendary Calio is going to be all combined and added in the giveaway link in the video description on YouTube. Final reminder to leave some kind of comments, comments, smash the likes, hit the subscribe button, turn the notifications bells on. Otherwise, you miss out on such legendary people like Cryptokaleo, who's been my and yours as well guest for today's 14-day free trading congress broadcast. Ladies and gentlemen, that was Cryptokaleo. That was Cryptoburb. Kaleo, my friend, my brother, thank you so much for coming and sharing all this wealth of knowledge.
Hey, thank you so much for having me, Birb. Had a great time, and thank you for your persistence in getting me on here. Really respect it, guys. Give Birb a follow if you are not following him already, and definitely check out the rest of his stuff.
I love it. I love it. Yeah, that's all, folks. What we have for today. Follow Wonky Stonks as well on Twitter. Follow Calio. Needless to say, that's all what we have for you in store. God bless you all. Jesus bless you, Calio, as well. And stay safe, everybody. On to the next show for a moment. Cheers. Bye-bye.
All righty.